Last week we compared the Galaxy Gear to the Smartwatch 2 and we've been really happy with how the Galaxy Gear operates and performs, but let's get a little more in depth about it. I'm Jens Garcia from Tech for Geeks and this is our full review of the Samsung Galaxy Gear. First of all, I would like to thank Movie City for providing us the Galaxy Gear. You can get yourself one by going to their website at www.moviecity.com. Samsung recreated how we see smartwatches today, and in fact, they have created an ad showing different smartwatch designs. This is also their first wearable computing device, which means it could be a hit or a miss. Now, when the Galaxy Gear first came out, Samsung's goal was to bring the future to the consumers. And in my opinion, that's exactly what they've done with the design of the Galaxy Gear. You may like or dislike the way it looks, but personally, I love how it was designed. The addition of the metal plate around the display adds a premium look to the watch. Now, as you'll notice, there are screws on the corners, and I would like those screws to be hidden in the future. There is only one button on the watch, which is the power and lock button. There is no port to be seen. However, if you look at the bottom, you'll notice the pogo pins, and that is because you will need the cradle to charge the watch. Now, the downside of that is that you will obviously have to carry the cradle around with you, so not everyone would like that. There is a slight weight when you put it on your wrist, but it doesn't affect the user experience. The camera on the wrist strap is also noticeable, which might be a little awkward thanks to the giant lens glued to it. Now, at first, most people would not recognize it until they actually look close to it. The strap lock does a great job securing the watch, and it's secured enough that even you wiggle your hand, the watch stays on your wrist. And this is also probably the annoying part when wearing it because of the thickness of it, and it does get on the way when you are typing, for example, but the reason why is because that is where the microphone is. I guess one of the letdown on the Gear's construction is that it's not water resistant. It should take jets of water fairly well, but I wouldn't even try submerging this in water or do any water test. Personally, for me, it doesn't really matter, but for others, it might be a big deal. Overall, the build quality on the Galaxy Gear is very impressive and really far away from how they build their smartphones, and that is something that you wouldn't always hear from me. It has a 1.63-inch Super AMOLED display, and that's a resolution of 320 by 320 with a pixel density of 277 ppi. Now, for a smartwatch, that is more than enough, and I guess the display explains it. The icons look very sharp and crisp, it's bright, and it even has an outdoor mode, so you shouldn't have a problem seeing the display outdoors. And if you're worried about pressing the button all the time to look at the time, then you shouldn't be, because there's actually a motion sensor built into the Gear, so therefore you don't have to press the button to look at the time. Simply raise your arm that the Galaxy Gear is on and it will turn on the display for you. It displays straight away the moment you raise your arm, and I haven't really had any problems with it, with the Gear not displaying it. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad Samsung thought of that idea. It does not work when you are leaning back or lying back because it will consume more battery since the motion sensor is always on. The camera on the Galaxy Gear is one of its selling points. While it may look a little awkward to the public, but it surely is great to have it sitting on the strap. It has a 1.9 megapixel camera sensor that also records 720p videos, and in terms of quality, it's not actually that bad. I mean, it's not the best, but it's actually good for a watch. Now, this isn't meant to be your everyday camera, but the reason why it's great is because you can easily take photos and then record 15 seconds of videos and then transfer to your phone straight away. But just a quick tip, don't be creepy when taking photos. Personally, I did felt a little awkward taking photos with it, but hey, I'm the only one who had a watch that can take photos, so yeah, beat that. What really separates this away from other smartwatches is the ability to do calls and texts. This is not a phone, keep in mind. Now, I got a lot of people saying that this is a phone, but no, it's not. Since this is connected via Bluetooth, therefore it syncs to your phone. So whenever you are calling using it, the watch communicates to your phone and then it dials the number that you're trying to call. Now, based from the calls that I've done from my side, It was clear, no dropouts, and blocks most of the noise. And since the speaker sits below your wrist, you will have to put the speaker close to your ear, which is again really awkward using it in the public. The Galaxy Gear is running TouchWiz, and I actually quite liked the interface of it, and it's very simple and easy to use, and it's also very intuitive. Unlocking the watch will welcome you with these large icons, and these are your homepage applications, by the way, so you just swipe left or right to navigate through your applications. It's very snappy and loads up pretty quick when you open. Opening the last icon, which will take you to the rest of the applications such as calculator, stopwatch, and all your downloaded apps. Now with devices like this, since they are still in that developing process, the applications are still very limited, but you get your typical applications that almost all smartwatches will have, such as speedometer, stopwatch, and calendar. Now if you want to go back to your recent apps, all you have to do is to slide down, and that will take you back to your recent apps. A neat feature on the Gear is Find My Device. Now what it does is, for example, you're on your way to work and you couldn't find your phone. You can use the app to ring your phone, and even if your phone is on silent, it will automatically change the mode to sound. Receiving notifications still needs to be improved. Now if someone sends you a tweet on Twitter, for example, the Gear will just notify you with a Twitter logo and no information what the tweet is about. That is the same with Gmail. Now if you press it, it will open up the app on the phone. There is a third-party app that will view the tweet, but as for built-in notification viewer, there's none. You get different watch faces as well, which you can change on the watch itself or through the Gear Manager. Now there are other watch faces that you can download on the Samsung App Store, and most of them are free, so it's great to have that option to customize the watch. But apart from that, that's about it for the UI. Battery is probably the main issue with the Gear. The standby time is superb, but when you start using the calls and texts features, then it's going to kill the battery life of the Gear very quick. Now based on a 3-minute call, the battery went down by 7%, which is quite a lot in my opinion. It does still last to me for a whole day in college, but if you are a busy person, then you are going to need the cradle. Speaking of cradle, that is the only way you can charge the Gear, since there is no port running around the device. So if you're going to be using it a lot, then I suggest you bring the cable and cradle along with you. Well, the Galaxy Gear still needs some polishing that needs to be done, but for a first wearable computing device from Samsung, it's actually great. It's not the best yet because this is their first product, but it's great. You have the camera and microphone for calls and texts, which in my opinion are the key selling points of the device. Now, I personally wouldn't be using it to do calls and texts very often, but to have those features on a watch is very cool. But in my opinion, consumers aren't ready yet for this technology. So I guess the main question is if you should get it or not. Well, if you can afford paying over $300, then for sure, why not? It's a great piece of technology to go along with your Note 3 or other supported smartphones. But if you don't have the budget or the right smartphone for this, then I don't think you are missing out a lot. So yeah, there you have it. That's our full review on the Samsung Galaxy Gear. What do you think of it? Are you getting yourself one? Then let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow our social media networks. All the links will be in the description box below. As always, I'm Jens Garcia from Tech for Geeks, and I'll see you all in the next one.